Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, here's the October update in the courtyard, and you can see I'm starting with what I started with in September. Bit of a change with the Japanese maple. The red really did intensify over the September and into the October, but now the leaves are falling. You can see those red leaves, very decorative. They are falling, and they're like little decorations where they're falling. The contrast with the grasses and some of the shrubs, and of course they're sitting there on top of the pond as well. So very decorative indeed as the leaves fall. And some people will say, well, why would you grow for autumn colour? And you couldn't get a better example of Japanese maple in colour. That's one of their redder varieties, and it just goes this scarlet colour in the autumn time. We'll have a look around the rest of the courtyard. Here's a quick look for those that only stay on for a minute or two, and of course you're welcome. Do remember to give the old thumbs up, likes and subscribes and all that sort of stuff, and we'll do a little bit more detail for people that want to get into the nuts and bolts of it. You can see on the staging area in the courtyard, of course, grasses have taken centre stage, very much so, since we were last here, which had some of the summer flowers, although there is still some traces of those flowers remaining. Some potatoes that we lifted the other day from the potager. That's great, thanks to my brother for the seed potato for those. You can see they're looking very well. And of course some more Japanese maple colour there, among other items. That's sort of the 360. There's Head Gardener Smudge having a browse around, doing a bit of an inspection. Nope, she's not having any of it. Checking all things are right. But yeah, a bit of a 360. Big emphasis on the Japanese maples and grasses. I suppose that sums up autumn in the courtyard here. So let's have a look at some of the best colour for this time of year here in the courtyard. The number one, again, is the Japanese maple over there, over the pot pond. And boy, is it looking well. The pump inside of the pot pond is a solar panel, so you can see it's an overcast day, so it's just trickling water. A very nice sound to it indeed. Other plants that are looking well, the autumn colour, I suppose we're just going to keep going back to it, isn't it? We'll do them as a grouping there. You've got the ginkgo biloba, that's the pendula one that's falling over there. It's a lovely yellow to that as the leaves are falling. And you've got the wisteria. Again, the wisteria has these purple flowers, these trailing purple flowers in early summer, late spring, early summer. But the autumn foliage there in its own right is quite decorative. One plant that has come into flower and should be somewhere on the list, although not so much for how much the colour shines, but definitely how scented the flowers are, is this viburnum bodnatense dawn. And those small flowers are very powerfully scented. Very, very powerfully scented. And it is a winter flowering. The idea is that the flower buds are produced during the summer, and then anytime there's a bit of mild weather over the winter, the flowers then emerge and blossom, attracting whatever particular type of moth or winter insects they look to attract. So we've had this lovely warm spell here, so the plant is going, that's grand. It's time to blossom. These warm spells, we do have them from time to time through the years. This is not the first time we'll have seen apple trees in flower at this time of year. It is unfortunate because it does mean the crop for next year will be less. If your apple tree is flowering, it's just coming out earlier, which is unfortunate. This one here is one of the lilies, the kaffir lilies, and you can see it there. It's a lovely red. The camera finds it hard to pick up at it, the reds, the pure reds from what the eye sees, but it is a lovely late flowering. It's a real autumn flowering plant there. We have it growing, you can see, in a very small pot. So the idea is if you planted that in the garden, it would run everywhere, but by keeping it in smaller pots, it is encouraging it to flower, and of course stops that rampaging that it actually does. Some of the Carexes as top plants for colour at this time of year, and if you go along to any of your garden centres now, they'll be full of these sort of grasses colours. Off-y-off-a-gone there in black, and Haken na Cloa, another Carex there, and then there's the blue Festuca glauca. So there's a nice few grasses. I suppose as a grouping. Again, just can't beat them for the texture and the feel. It's a very still day today, but if the wind was blowing, they'd be the first ones that would bring that movement. Dans le Jardin. Another grouping of plants that are providing plenty of colour. Right, these guys. They're the Huecheras. And they have featured, you know them, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see that the Huecheras will feature right through the year. They are, unfortunately, a big attractor of what's called vine weevil. And vine weevil, the little beetles themselves aren't so bad, but it's the eggs that they lay. And over the nights I do come out here and inspect the plants, trying to capture the adults, and I have found plenty of the vine weevil adults. We might do a separate video on those. But what the adults themselves just put notches in the leaves, similar to what they're doing on the Croprosma. You can see there's U-shaped notches on the leaves. Sorry, the camera. Can you see those? Can you see that U-shaped notch just there? That's real vine weevil adult. So that's what they do. They make the plants look a little bit tatty, but it's the grubs themselves that do most damage. They actually, the eggs are laid at the base of the plants. The eggs hatch. The grubs go down into the soil. They'll eat the roots as they go, and then you're left with a plant that the roots, where that pot would have been full of roots, they chew off a lot of the roots. That's what we found the other day. I didn't wash off the roots, and you can see the plant is even still trying to grow. So we had a good root through the soil, but that'll actually be repotted into fresh soil. I washed that in the under the tap, because there is a little bit of warmth in the soil still, so you can see the roots are trying to grow. And it's classic vine weevil, where these plants, they're just eating away at the roots themselves. So the plants pull out of the pot very, very simply, you know. There is no chemicals that'll kill them. They've all been banned, and rightly so. So it is about how we look after the plants, isn't it? And what we do. And they do love being in peaty compost, but of course we use a lot of soil-based compost here with our own homemade compost and bark, mulch and chip added in. So it is about our good gardening habits to try and discourage them. Anyhow, as you can see, I have 4 or 5 Huecheras around the garden, and they'll all need to be just stripped down and washed off. So, but they're looking well, even though we know that they're being eaten away. Another plant that has really come into its own. This was a plant we got last winter time actually, just after Christmas, and it was one of those discount plants. I think we got it for €2 or €3, a Coprosma rainbow, and at the time then I brought it home, and it had been quite badly frosted, and I was like, gosh, we might as well just bin that. It's going to come to nothing. But now Judith got her hands on it and she nursed it through the spring. She had full faith in it, and it has rewarded us with fantastic colour all through the summer. So well done. You can see it's lovely there in its pot, albeit again being attacked by vine weevil, so we'll have a root through that. So a lovely plant for colour at this time of year and texture, and shows up against the greens too. Anyway, I could go on describing plenty more plants that are there, but just I think for this month, for October, the focus being, if you like, a course on the Japanese maples and how great they are in colour, and then of course the grasses and how they complement that shrubby sort of theme, conifers that are there, and they just give a completely different, I suppose what I'd call an autumn look to the garden. Anyway, as always, comments are welcome, and do, as I say, like and subscribe. And if you've any other plants that you think should feature in pots, in courtyards like this, or even from your garden, do give them a mention in the comments below. That's where some of the best learning takes place for us all. Anyway, do look after yourselves there, and see you on the next one. All the best for now. Bye bye.